It is really quite something.
What's up, YouTube?
Oh, yes. Yeah, that's good.
What's up, YouTube? Hello. So I'm haven't been on air, as they say, the kids say today. Recently, Christmas happened, and I got an itchy head, and it's been I've had a bit of a break. Welcome back to me, to you, the viewers. Thank you. If you like my content, please subscribe. I'm not going to talk too much because this is quite long. I'm going to do this in 3 parts. This to me is very interesting. I hope that some other people find it very interesting. It's sort of about one of my favourite bugbears of religion. It's also about Monty Python, which I grew up listening to, which is quite exciting, and encompasses all sorts of interesting topics, and it's quite entertaining as well. So I hope you enjoy this. We'll dive right in. I'll probably do this in 3 20-minute chunks because it's nearly an hour long, the whole video, and I will probably fast forward through the boring bits because frankly it is quite long and waffly, and we'll cut to the chase, as it were. So Monty Python debate with some men, let's just dive right in and see what this is all about.
How to open your car door while submerged underwater. A fatal construction flaw in all recent automobiles makes it virtually impossible to escape the car after crashing into water. This ingenious innovation elevates your odds of survival to an astonishing 99%. It was developed by the brilliant mind of...
That's really one thing we all need, isn't it? Something, because we're always... Don't you find you're always crashing your car into a lake all the time? It's so annoying. And you can't get out, and then you drown. Anyway, pointless.
Saturday morning light.
Let's all sit.
Good evening. Tonight, every expense spared. Guests include Paul Jones and the Blues Band, the author of the book more frequently stolen from public libraries throughout the world than any other. That's Norris Mc...
This is 1979, so, TV was more like, being in a church service than watching something amusing anyway, which is interesting. And this is Julian Webber, the slightly less deformed brother of Andrew Lloyd Webber, who is disgusting.
Werter, and 4 gentlemen who will be discussing a controversial film inspired by the New Testament. Only yesterday, in The Scotsman, a prominent news item headed New Superstar Row revealed that the film Jesus Christ Superstar has this week been banned from a cinema in the Western Isles as blasphemous. A curse placed on another remote Scottish cinema which dared to screen Superstar in 1976 led to the recent closure of that particular house of entertainment.
The blasphemy laws have now gone, thank God. Stuart Lee has a lot to say about this in one of his shows. Can't remember which one it is now, but he wrote Jerry Springer the Opera, in which there was a line that Jesus was gay, which he didn't actually think. It's just the devil said that. Anyway, interesting. So blasphemy laws were obviously still in effect then. And also Jesus Christ Superstar is just about Jesus. It's not really blasphemous, so not sure what that's all about.
If Superstar still has this trouble nearly 10 years after its creation, what hope does Monty Python's Life of Brian have today? Soon, the opinions of John Cleese, Michael Palin, Malcolm Muggeridge and Mervyn Stockwood, the Bishop of Southwark. Here's a moderately controversial clip from the film.
Bloody hell. This must have been live. Imagine if I was live. Much worse than this, I tell you. It's not working. No. Oh. Love it. It's a good clip as well. Hey, he just got his cock out. Yeah.
Hello, Mother.
Don't you hello, Mother me! What are all those people doing out there?
Oh, well,
Come on, what have you been up to, my lad?
I think they must have popped by something.
Popped by? Sworn by, more like! What are you doing out there?
They started following me yesterday.
Well, they can stop following you right now! Now stop following my son! You ought to be ashamed of yourselves!
They think I'm the Messiah, Mum.
Now you listen here. He's not the Messiah. He's a very naughty boy. I'm his mother, that's who. Now, don't think you can get around me like that. He's not coming out, and that's my final word.
A scene quoted ad nauseum by millions of people of my age, probably throughout their lifetimes.
Extract featured Graham Chapman as Brian and Terry Jones, who also directed the picture, as Mandy, mother of Brian. With us tonight, another one-third of Monty Python, John Cleese and Michael Palin.
Cracked. BBC cutbacks. Oh, yeah.
Michael, why the name Brian?
Well, I don't know. We've always used Brian in Python to portray a certain sort of character, fairly anonymous, and I apologise to anyone called Brian, slightly sort of...
I mean, there's a good chance of...
dim. No, not exactly. Not dim. That's not fair. It's slow to catch on.
And there's a fighting chance of at least one Brian watching tonight, so be careful.
I don't know. Have you seen the figures? Cheap, wasn't it? Cheap. No, actually, John was in a sketch about the footballer being interviewed in one of the very early Python shows, and it was all, Brian.
Yeah,
the ball in the back of the net, Brian.
I'm opening a boutique, Brian. But it's one of the funny names, isn't it? It's like Trevor and Kevin. I mean, they're just funny.
What inspired the film, Life of Brian? I mean, how did that strange idea take root in whose skull did it take root?
Well, we're not exactly certain. It's always difficult to find the exact moment when it came up. But I know that when we were going around the world, sort of doing premieres for the Holy Grail, and we had a lot of time to spare in airports and cafes and restaurants. We got to thinking about a new film and what particular area we might go in, and we were still keen to do a historical film. So, more fun, dressing up and all that. We'd done the bowler-hatted city gents on Python. And I think it was Eric who came up with this title out of the blue called Jesus Christ Lust for Glory.
That always makes me laugh. I'm sorry, I'm not saying much here because even though I've seen it before, it's interesting hearing them talk about how they wrote it.
And I must admit that when we started talking about it, we actually explored the idea of doing a comedy film about Jesus, with all the jokes about someone trying to book a table for 12 at the Last Supper. Sorry, sir, you know, Saturday night I'll do you 3 4s. Come in tomorrow, no, it's got to be tonight, and all those jokes. and the more that we read about Jesus and the background to his life, it was quite obvious that there was very little to ridicule in Jesus' life. And therefore we were sort of onto a loser. The characters we liked to portray in Python are failures, are dim, are idiotic, are sort of incapable in one way or another. Jesus was a straight, direct man, so making very good sense. And so we decided that we'd be very...
I think he's being a little bit... he's giving Jesus a little bit too much credit there, but hey, I'll let him off.
Sort of just a rather shallow film, just about Jesus. So we got Brian in.
You must have known, though, that even in those early days you were heading for trouble and criticism and controversy. A, because you were well known. B, because, you know, to put it mildly, the subject matter is quite well known.
Yeah, I don't know.
Did that worry you?
I mean, I feel that Python, we've always thrived on that. It's always been a bit of an uphill struggle.
So what came first? I mean, was it the laughter idea?
Why is it after 40, 50 years, 60 years actually, going back to the 1960s, of comedy, that the people who generally write and perform in comedy are the middle classes, the upper middle classes? It has changed. It is starting to change now. People just do nothing. There's that great one I haven't seen about people in somewhere up north. I have no idea what it's called, but I have a sense that's similar. But, you know, it's always been the Oxbridge crowd and Cambridge Footlights and all that. Find that slightly annoying.
Or the message? I mean, which was the first of the two that...
It's the laughter. We go for the jokes first. I mean, the reason that it sounded like an interesting territory to go into, to explore, because when you go in there, you really don't know what you're going to write. I mean, we usually sit around for about 3 days discussing theoretically what we're going to write, and then we go around and write something completely different. And the film actually starts when somebody comes in halfway through the second week and reads something out, and we all laugh. And that's the first point on the graph. Do you see what I mean?
Yes,
and then we may wait another week, and then somebody else writes something funny, and then we have 2 points on the graph. And when we got about 6 or 7, we start writing stuff to join it together. It's a pretty slow process because it's sort of democracy gone mad.
It took a long time. It took a long time for Brian to really get off the ground. We wrote an awful lot, which was then just thrown away because it was sort of struggling too hard to be sort of controversial.
Well, actually, you know, Mike, I don't know. I agree with that because I don't think that we were coming in with stuff about Christ. We all started writing about on the edges, all the people who'd arrived 5 minutes after the miracle had been done. You know, which is as bad as being 2,000 years late. Or it's as if you didn't see it. You know, it doesn't matter whether you're 5 minutes late or whatever. Actually, we did have the idea that he was the 13th disciple, didn't we? A sort of slight hanger-on. Yes, that's right. He was going to write a gospel, but he was always late.
Because it was also called Brian of Nazareth at one point, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And yet you changed that title, yet that would have worked, wouldn't it, for this movie or not?
Well, I think I always thought that title somehow asked for the comparison with Jesus of Nazareth, you know, the Powell thing, too much. It looked as though we were going for the comparison.
But you apparently used Lou Grade's sets that he used on Jesus of Nazareth. Didn't you, in fact, use the same scenario?
The ones he hadn't taken down. We used them for building our own sets in. There was temples there in Monastir, in this place in Tunisia.
It was like, really, because at one stage we were looking for about, I think there were 5 or 6 different places we might have shot it. Italy, Spain, Jordan, Israel, Morocco, Tunisia. And I think we decided Tunisia eventually, partly because we thought there might be religious trouble in the Catholic countries, and partly because we discovered they'd been making a lot of films in the last 2 or 3 years in Tunisia. And then when you sort of say, we'll get the rushes here in the morning, you don't arrive and find there's a lot of rushes there. You know,
there's practically an industry over there of making films about Jesus, because Rossellini had made a film then. Lou Grade had been there for a couple. Rossellini, an Italian director, made a film about Jesus. Then, well, I don't know.
I missed that.
He never heard of footballer, didn't he?
No, I thought it was a food.
Turin, FC Turin. No, Rossellini made this film, and then I thought it was rather good.
Is he good, Rossellini?
Yeah, he's a bit slow. The second half, he was very good. hit the ball, and there it was in the back of the stand.
If he's watching, I'm terribly sorry, but I've never heard of the guy.
Well,
he's made a film. Has it come out?
He's made a film about Jesus, and it came out. Yes, I think so.
Well, the extraordinary thing is, Tim, I don't know all the facts on this because I was only told this about 4 days ago, but apparently there are now 4, quote, funny, unquote, films about the Bible coming out in the next 3 months.
As a result of Brian,
well,
or
I
just
don't know. I think
coincidentally?
it may just be coincidence. Mind you, we've been talking about it on and off for 3 years, so maybe the idea sort of filtered into somebody else's
How did the whole thing get together? Because you had this great...
What are those funny films about the Bible that were made? I wonder. It's what would they be? Early 80s films about the Bible that were funny. I can't think of any. If you can think of anything, just comment below, please.
Great idea in an airport lounge or wherever, and still you have a fairly long way to go from Terminal 2 to screens all over the world.
It was a very big airport. It was ages.
Well, it is that pragmatic thing.
Because you had trouble with the cash and backers pulling out.
Oh, terrible trouble, yes. In fact, if George Harrison hadn't known Eric Idle, the film wouldn't have been made. Because although the Americans, after the EMI thing fell through.
Fun fact, I think it was George Harrison who managed to get Widnell and I made as well. Interesting, eh? And it's only because Harvey Keitel was involved that Reservoir Dogs got made. So there you go, stick that in your pipe and smoke it.
We then went to America. No,
What happened, John?
I didn't say anything.
Fell through.
Fell through.
Oh.
Fell through. Failed to happen, as it were.
Natural course.
We then went to America, and they were all prepared to give us a little bit of money, but not enough, not as much as we needed to make the film. So we needed, I think, $2.5 million to make it for the American territories, and they wouldn't give us more than 1.75. So come the middle of the year, we suddenly realised we weren't going to make it. And then out of the blue, John Goldstone, the producer, said, well, I got one more meeting with George Harrison. And George Harrison, which is, I think, is really one of the great, almost magnificent acts of the century, said he was quite happy to put up £1 million for no other reason, apparently, that he wanted to see the movie.
Very generous.
Weren't you all in some danger of splitting up, or at least some internal conflict? Did the film, in fact, bring you together?
Yes, I think it did. After the Grail, there was about a year spent sort of in the wilderness, as it were. No one quite sure what they wanted to do. And people going off to try and do their own things, Faulty Towers or ripping yarns or whatever.
Also, there was a stage when we hated each other.
Well, I never hated you, John. Whatever any of the others may say, I always liked you.
What about your solo projects? Are there going to be any more ripping yarns, any more Faulty Towers?
There'll be no more Faulty Towers.
He sent me a wonderful telegram last week when I had my 40th birthday, and it read, "We love the first 40, stop. Are you going to do any more?"
You got it right.
Well, are you? Is there going to be a...
I don't think so, no. I feel we've done that, just as I felt about Python and the telly, that you actually reach a point and then it's the law of diminishing returns. You could go on.
And does that mean there won't be any more Pythons on the telly?
Highly unlikely.
Pythons all over my telly, I tell you, it's bloody annoying. Getting in the way of the screen.
At the moment.
But not
highly unlikely.
totally
Well,
ruled
not
out.
totally. I don't think anything is absolutely, definitely ruled out.
I tell you what I hate, and that's the sausage machine. And you get into it
Yes.
the moment you sign on the dotted line. 13 shows. That's 8 months in the diary.
Bloody
Filming,
sausage
editing,
machines.
rehearsing. It's much nicer to take 1 2-hour or hour and a half thing, like a film, and spend a lot of time, and then you can savour it and explore and do a lot of talking, which is much better than having to get everything written every day.
See, John gets very oppressed by work. You see, he doesn't like work. And what I feel about the Python shows is that actually I don't know where we would start off.
Look at his face. He looks like he wants to kill him. I fucking hate you.
I think we almost did everything in those 3 series, and I just don't know how
I mean,
one
we're
would begin
practically
again.
doing it tonight because we were saying in the dressing room. You know, I mean, it's terribly funny. It suddenly struck us that here we are, you know, in a Bishop and Malcolm Muggeridge are going to come on. You know,
It is funny.
Studio tonight.
no,
Believe me.
it's not a sketch.
It may be done.
Are you implying
It's hard to emphasise to anyone under the age of probably, I don't know, 35, 40, just how incredibly popular they were at this point. You know, I mean, they were at the peak. Everybody who was sort of young, everybody really, apart from very old people, sort of knew Monty Python and loved it. We used to watch it on TV, the Monty Python, you know, Flying Circus, and the Holy Grail had come out recently, and they were so popular. They were who's similar now in comedy? There's so many people in comedy now, but let's say they were a bit like Matt Lucas and Thingy Williams when Little Britain was at its height. You know, they would have, everybody who loved them and thought it was hilarious and whatever. So it's interesting, really.
that possibly there might be a fourth Python movie, a full-length film? And this is certainly on
The meaning of life.
cards.
Yes, in fact, we're supposed to be meeting, aren't we? November the 19th?
Monday week,
Your
I
place?
think. Yeah.
To discuss this very thing. I think it's very likely that we'll do another film.
But we want to see if there's an area that nobody's gone into, really. You see, because the one thing about this film, I mean, I really like it, and there's a lot of stuff we've done I don't like that much. But I really like this film. And there are moments when I watch it, and I think, I haven't seen anything like this before on the screen.
Is there anything that you think could offend you on screen?
I have one tiny quibble, and I think that Terry Jones and Graham Chapp will no doubt disagree with me, but I think that the crucifixion thing at the end is not about pain, it's about death, and they are very separate.
So what's your beef?
My beef is that there are one or two close-ups of one or two people registering pain, and I think that confuses what the last thing's about, because I mean, one's not really making fun of the fact that someone has been flayed till his flesh hung down and then nailed up. The point of that last thing is it's about death.
It's quite funny.
You know, it's about attitudes to death. And it's quite possible to be relatively cheery about death. Quite possible. Not so it's easy.
Yes. Well, for the moment, gentlemen, thank you very much. But I think we ought to see another clip from the movie. No, please.
Yeah, we'll watch that.
Stay where you are. We're going to see a second clip from the film, and after that we'll be joined by two gentlemen who don't normally review movies, but who this evening went to see it on our behalf.
Hey! Is there another way down? Is there another path down to the river? Please, please help me. I've got to get... Oh, my foot! Oh, Master! He's here! Speak to us, Master! Speak to us! Go away! How shall we go away, Master? Just go away, leave me alone! Give us a sign! He has given us a sign! He has brought us to this place! I didn't bring you here, you just followed me! Oh, it's still a good sign by any standard! Master, your people have walked many miles to be with you. They are weary and have not eaten. It's not my fault they haven't eaten. There is no food in this high mountain. Well, what about the juniper bushes over there? Fruitful by his words. They brought forth juniper berries. Of course they brought forth juniper berries. They're juniper bushes. What do you expect?
Miracle!
Do not tempt him, shallow ones. Is not the miracle of the juniper bush bushes enough?
I say, those are my juniper bushes.
God!
They're all I've bloody got to eat.
I am affected by a bald patch. I'm healed! The master has healed me! I didn't touch him! I was blind and now I can see!
All right, I think we'll leave part one there. Yes, wonderful. I've watched that film so many times that I find it that funny anymore. In fact, I sort of hate it in a way. I'm being ironic there. Thank you for watching. Well, we have just got time for a quick word from Martin Farr. Martin, are you there? Could you tell us what the time is, please?
It's 4:30.
Thank you, Martin.
Thank you.
Thanks. Yeah, that's part one. It obviously gets a lot better now in various ways because the two twats come on, and it is really quite something. Yeah, very interesting, as I say, to me, from the point of view of looking at religion and also class, and listening to the Pythons talking about the film, how they made it, why they made it. But the conflict is quite amusing. So I will see you in part two. Thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe, leave comment below, smash the like button like it's a piñata or whatever those things are they have in America. And don't nobody go nowhere.